Thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get started. So tonight we are going to be covering our energy efficiency products, which are growing, expanding, and already a pretty popular suite of products for us. And so I know that if you're on this webinar or if you're watching the replay, it means that you have a lot of interest in exploring these products and helping to grow your business by contacting your commercial prospects and growing that piece of your business. So we are going to give you a whole bunch of new information. We've got some new tools that we want to roll out, and we have some new training. We've got some information on even some new products. So lots of stuff coming your way tonight. And on the webinar, I have Will, who's going to be joining us right at the top of the webinar. And I also have Lisa, who you'll be hearing from at the end. And so you want to stick around because we've got great content. So Will, thank you. I know you're on the road. You always are. Seems like you're always somewhere fun. So thanks for joining us from California. That's where you are, right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to toggle back and forth between a couple of screens, but we're going to start right here in Keynote. So for those of you, I do see on the attendee list, I see a handful of new names. And so if you are new, we're going to go ahead and cover some stuff as though you haven't seen it, but we're going to fly by some of the things that we've had for a while. So you might want to get with other people as well. And we have the chat window open and we'll be monitoring it and trying to answer your questions as we go too. So all right. So first of all, I'm sure you know this by now because I feel like he's just a part of our Viv community in every way possible, but we are able to have this phenomenal piece of our commercial portfolio because of our partnership with Madison Energy Group. So we're extremely proud of this partnership. We are partnered directly with the manufacturer, which gives us a really great advantage. It's credibility for your customers, it's simplicity, and it really allows us to offer such great, phenomenal products. Madison, if you don't know a little bit about the company, has been around for more than 10 years, works with a lot of America's leading brands. You know, I think they've saved customers, have installed projects that will save customers a total of over $90 million. You know, and more than that, I think that the reason Madison's such a great partner is because of Will, because of the CEO and the way that he runs his business. And I can honestly say that, you know, our partnership is probably among, if not the, my favorite partnership of this type that I've ever had in my career. Just, he's always super accessible, innovative, creative, you know, focused on growing the business. So I'm thrilled to have you on, Will, and just, you know, we're several months into this partnership now, and I just couldn't be happier. Really, really love working with you, and thanks for coming on tonight to do some more training for the people.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to actually have Will take the first half of this call or this webinar and really give us just a background on the different products that we have. I've got the mouse, so he may have to say next slide a few times. We'll try to not be too disruptive with it. But we have now, if you've been on previous webinars, you've seen us talk about HVAC, you've seen us talk about Energy Squared, but we also have Ash DC and payback. These are new little funky devices that you're seeing up there. And all together, you know, these really can help customers that have HVACs, which who doesn't, or walk-in coolers and freezers, which so many restaurants and hotels and all kinds of customers do, or these kind of reach-in glass door units that do medium and low temperature refrigeration and cooling, and also what's called a PTAC, which I didn't know. So if you don't know, no worries. But a PTAC is the little cooling unit that goes in like a hotel room. So really expanding suite. So Will, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you from here to take us through the first chunk of this webinar and just tell people a little bit more about each one of these products.
Sure, absolutely. So the first thing that I would tell you is that all of the technologies that Madison Energy purveys satisfy a few critical criteria, and that is that they are simple, affordable, effective, and that they have 12-month ROIs, right? They get their money, the client gets their money back very quickly. The first technology that you see on the left, the HVAC, we designed this based on a utility study that was done in California by a company called PG&E, which found that most HVAC systems lose 20 to 30% of their energy. And the reason for that was just some system inefficiencies. I won't get too detailed on this webinar, but we were able to work with some HVAC engineers to solve those inefficiencies in two different ways. One is an intelligent variable timer that we apply to the post-purge fan based on the previous compressor cycles, and then also by cycling the compressors themselves, right? And by doing that all year round, we save anywhere between 10 and 30% energy, which is a really big deal because number one, every business that you know of has HVAC. And number two, HVAC is a big part of their total energy bill. So by focusing on that, we're able to have a significant impact. What else? This installation is very simple. It's a lifetime warranty, and as you can see here on your screen, we've got some quotes here from some different clients that we've worked with. As Cammie said, we've worked with some very notable clients, right? We've worked with McDonald's and Sonic, Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Disney, Universal Studios, Mapco. I mean, the list goes on. We've been very fortunate to work with some big names. I think a lot of that has to do with our process and the way that we differentiate ourselves, but also obviously the technology just being, as effective and simple as it is. Let's see, the next is the energy squared. So this is actually the first technology that we developed. This is for walk-in coolers and freezers, right? So we're talking restaurants, hotels, schools, convenience stores, anything with the big walk-in boxes that you can actually go inside. What this does is retrofits to the existing thermostat air probe and provides a more accurate means of temperature measurement through a specialized gel compound that simulates the actual food product temperature instead of the ambient air temperature around it. And very simply, by virtue of the fact that we are on a more stable temperature curve, we're able to eliminate unnecessary compressor cycles and the energy that goes along with them. So you're looking at anywhere between 15 and 30%. We reducing the compressor cycles as much as we do also contributes to maintenance savings, which a lot of our clients have given us feedback on that it's really beneficial to them. And of course, the 12-month ROI and the lifetime warranty. The first quote that you see here from Joel, the McDonald's owner, that was actually our very first client. He was the former chairman of the franchisee board, and he's the one who got us all the way up to McDonald's corporate. The second one there, David from Biscuitville, that's another great one to talk about because I worked with David at Biscuitville, and then I worked with him at Bojangles and Cookout, and now at another group called the Flynn Restaurant Group, which has over 1,200 restaurants. So that's just a testament of how great these technologies are and how hard we work, that we follow our clients, or should I say they follow us, they take us with them wherever they go. The third technology, the HDC, so this is really interesting, right? So the HDC is meant for the reach-in cooler and freezer door applications, such as convenience stores and grocery stores. And what a lot of people don't know is that those glass cases actually have heaters in them. Even though it's cold on the inside, the doors and the frames themselves have heaters on them to keep them free of condensation. Well, those heaters run 24 hours a day, and the reality is that they don't need to run anywhere close to that. And so our controller wires in, and it only runs that heater when it absolutely needs to. Now, there are some other devices similar to this one, but I'll tell you what makes this one different is that we save 30 to 35% more energy than anyone else in the market. And the reason that we do that is because in those doors, there's 3 different kinds of heaters. We separate them all out and we control them independently of each other. And so this is top of the line stuff, same thing, 12-month ROI. We've got a 3-year warranty on this one because it is electronics inside cold environments. So a little bit different there, but just a great piece of technology. The Intella PTAC, so this is essentially the same technology as the Intella HVAC, but redesigned for the individual room units inside hotels and motels and things of that nature. And what's great about that is even limited service motels have 70 to 80 rooms, right? So it's a huge opportunities. Lower price point on this one, but again, same technology, very effective, and those PTACs suck up a lot of energy. If you talk to any hotel owner, they'll tell you that those things are the bane of their existence because people abuse them, right? Especially on a hot summer day, they walk in, they turn them down to 65 with the fan on high, and they just suck energy. So to be able to put a little controller on there to make them more efficient is really significant. for those owners. And there's a couple of quotes on there as well. We are growing in the hotel space. We're actually working with a group that got the Marriott hotel group into the, whatever it is, the National Hotel Association or whatever it is. So hotels are a growing segment for us. Traditionally, we've worked with a lot of restaurants and convenience stores and things of that nature, a lot of fast food places. But hotels are a growing segment for us, and it's something that if you have contacts there, I would highly recommend talking with.
Fantastic. So thank you for the overview on all of those. It would be, this is one, actually, this is a little bit of a flashback. This is one that I got to be actually at the install with you. So this was here in Connecticut, and this was fun. I was snapping a ton of pictures back when we did this one. This is one of the first ones that we did together, but just explain a little bit about what you did here. This was a restaurant. This was a restaurant owner who was actually participating in our pilot program, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And so what Will's installing here is a usage meter so that we can do the pilot program. But if you can give everybody a little bit of an overview on what this is, that would be great.
Yeah, so first of all, it's something else that differentiates us from other energy companies out there, right? It's almost funny, except kind of not. I literally have had a couple of clients almost not talk to me because some energy guy came in before me, whipped out a napkin and did some math on a piece of paper and said, oh, here's how much money we should save you. And that's a little bit difficult to take serious, right? So Madison Energy has a real process. What's important is that it's not one that we invented. This is actually something that was handed down to us by the utility companies. It's what we used to go and get the incentives and rebates, which we can talk about another time. But what you see here, it's a three-part process, right? So the first part is we come in and we install some of this metering equipment, like the top left picture that you see there, that's a time of usage meter. In the middle right picture, kind of in the bottom there, that's an EKM meter. So we connect these meters to the client's equipment because what we want is to record energy consumption at the circuit level, right? We want to know exactly what we've done, exactly what effect we've had. So we'll hook up these meters, we'll leave them on there for a week, sometimes two, and then we'll come back a second time and we'll install the devices. Any one of those four that you saw, we can run pilot programs on all four of them. So phase two is we'll come back and we'll install the technology. We'll let that run for an equal amount of time. And then phase three is we come back and we just take everything off. We download that metering equipment and we export that to two different third-party engineering companies. And that's important, right? Because we have third-party professionals that are analyzing this data and sending those reports back to us, which we then put all together into a nice proposal for the client. An important note is when the clients see these reports, they're very transparent. So they're not just getting the analysis from the engineer, they're getting screenshots from the meter download, they're getting the raw data itself. Everything that we would give to the utility, we're giving to the client. And the basis of this is that we're proving ourselves up front before the client makes any sort of investment, before they have to take any sort of leap of faith or spend $1. We prove this technology to them. Now, you would think with a 10-year track record and some of the name brands behind us and all the case studies that we've done, that that would be enough. It's a skeptical world that we live in, right? And so this process is important. It's a process that applies to, I would say, clients with 10 locations or at least a minimum deal value of $25,000. And the reason for that is that process that I just described to you, it costs money, right? I have to pay somebody to go on the road multiple times, time, hotels, gas, labor, it all adds up. So there's an investment on Madison Energy's part, but we do it because obviously we know the ratio, we know we're going to close these deals, we're going to make money, you're going to make money, and we're going to save money for the client.
That's fantastic. And we're going to talk a little bit about toward the end of the webinar of how you can participate in that pilot and how you can submit a lead for your customers that want to participate in that pilot. So awesome. Thanks for the detail there, Will. That's really helpful. So here's just a few other examples of the significant savings that clients can see with these products. So these are our clients, like you could see, major brand names, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Subway, franchisees that have been able to take advantage of multiple technologies, in these cases Intel HVAC or the Energy Squared. And, you know, you can see some pretty impressive numbers there, like 10-year savings of $12.25 million for this Subway franchise, or, you know, a much savings across the board for all of these. An annual savings for this Pizza Hut one of $85,000. You know, so just extremely effective. You know, when you show this slide and use these numbers, these same numbers are on your website, so you've seen these case studies quite often now. So we'll move on to some of the new stuff. And I'm really excited, I think, to show you guys how simple, because this is a product that we've had for a while now, and we continue to get feedback and continue to collaborate with Will and our corporate team, and with Lisa Venn, who's a huge help in this. We're just continuing to make things easier and easier. So, you know, really, as you watch the rest of this webinar and think about it, I just want you to think broadly. You know, who do you know that now has an HVAC system, or PTAC units, or walk-in coolers or freezers, or reach-in coolers and freezers? You know, so many ways you can help people now save money with energy efficiency. So I'm going to walk you through the process, the sales process. And for those of you who've been on previous trainings, everything from sort of here on out is a little bit new and improved. So want you to kind of take notes and see how we're trying to streamline this process for you a little bit. So first of all, make sure you're talking directly to the decision maker. I'm going to have Will chime in there quickly, because he's, you know, been doing this for many years. I think he can attest to the fact that you're going to save yourself a tremendous amount of follow-up and back and forth and wasted time and energy if you take the time up front to make sure you're talking directly to the decision maker. Do you want to just reinforce that and speak to why that's so important, Will, and how do people know who the decision maker is? What are the types of questions and things they want to ask to make sure they're talking to the right person?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely critical to make sure you're talking to someone that can make a decision. Otherwise, all of your time will be wasted. I've done it. I've made that mistake at least 370 times. So you don't have to. You know, for number one, it depends on what kind of business you're talking to, right? If we're talking about a mom and pop shop on Main Street, then the owner's typically there, right? They're typically an active participant. If you're looking at a 20 location McDonald's, then the owner's probably not there, and it may take a little bit more homework to find them. And there are resources for that, right? One that I always talk about is LinkedIn. Madison Energy does significant business from LinkedIn, just from a networking standpoint, making contacts, marketing, and using it to figure out who people are, right? If there's a specific target that we want to go after, you can try to look up, you know, director of facilities or CFO, right? So I recommend using those kinds of resources. Networking is, you know, this is what we all do for a business, right? Network marketing, or, you know, my business as well. So, you know, just talking to people and figuring out, you know, who makes the decision. That is the big upfront step. The investment is well worth the time, because once you get to that person, now the deck is stacked in your favor.
Awesome. Thank you for that. The next tip on here is just keep it simple. You're going to see throughout this webinar, you've really got a tool for every step of this process. You don't have to be the expert. The more you do it, the more you're going to learn, but it's really not important for you to be able to talk the way that Will does about the exact technologies, or to know every little detail of the lease requirements or the financing options, because there's a tool for all of that. And so know that you've got a great tool. You have the Viv corporate team here to support you. You have Will to support you. You've got Lisa to support you, which you'll hear from later. So you don't have to be the expert. So there's two ways people can participate. They can just purchase directly through a purchase order, or they can participate in the pilot program, which you've heard about both of those. Either one of those end results is going to have the same sales process ultimately. There are some differences, but either one of those are these three main categories. And so that's what we're going to focus on tonight. You're going to pique interest with your client, regardless of whether it's a single location corner bakery, or if it's a multiple franchise owner of a major national chain. So you're going to pique interest, you're going to have client meeting and progressive follow-ups, and then at some point you're going to need to take the order and get the sell. So we're going to talk through those three steps, the tools that are available for you in each of those steps, and how you get through them. So first of all, in just piquing interest, there are a number of things that you can say, and I'll turn it over to Will. I actually impromptu might have Lisa come on here too if you want. I know we weren't going to have you come on until the end, but I know you've helped with a lot of conversation starters and can really probably give some good advice here of just how to start the conversation. You can show people a way they can reduce the energy consumption on these major pieces of equipment, their HVAC or their PTACs or their wall refrigeration units, by up to 30%. Are you interested in learning more? That's a conversation starter. Just simply asking somebody, gosh, how many HVAC units do you have? What if I could make it less expensive to operate that equipment? Or leaning on our relationship with the manufacturer. I represent a manufacturer that helps lower consumption on some of the most expensive pieces of equipment in your business. I'll just throw it out to either Lisa or Will. Do either of you have any other thoughts on just conversation starters, how to pique interest?
I'll take that.
Go ahead.
I've been on the front line and I've done it.
Yes, you have.
Yeah. So I think talking to them about being able to save them up to 30% possibly on their energy consumption for their HVAC and their walk-in coolers and freezers, I usually get their attention, but I like going in with some of the tools that we have. I think it's really valuable to use the flyers because there's a bunch of bullet points on each one, and people like to be able to look at something. I think I mentioned this the other day at the Live at 5. If you can get your hands on the demos of either the HVAC or the Intel HVAC or the Energy Squared, that helps significantly too. So yeah, then you can just say, hey, this is what we're going to be using. This is what we'd be installing. And then it leads to more questions that I think, if you can't answer, then certainly either I or Will or somebody at support Viv could help you out with. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything to add, Will?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of doing the math, right? So if I'm in a business, if it's a full service restaurant, and you can guess, right? A full service restaurant should have 4 to 5 HVAC units. They've got at least 2, if not 3 walk-in coolers. And we know about what we'll save on that, right? Conservatively speaking, per walk-in cooler should be $500-$600, per HVAC unit, $1,000. And those are very, very conservative numbers.
And annually, you're saying?
Yes. These are annual numbers. So if they have, two walk-ins and 4 HVACs, that's, 5,000, right? So I like to throw real numbers out to them and say, hey, if I could save you 5,000 a year, is that worth 10, 15 minutes of your time, right? I give them real numbers. It's funny, because it's a true story. I travel a lot. I happened to be in a hotel a few weeks ago, and there was a guy there. I could just tell he was the owner, right? So I walked up, introduced myself to him, and I simply told him, I said, those PTAC rooms and the PTAC units in the rooms, they got to cost you a fortune, don't they? And he's like, oh yeah, you wouldn't believe it. I said, no, I do believe it, because I know exactly what it is. And then I went right into the conversation. I said, look, I know these things are terrible. I've got a controller for them. I can help you out, 15, 20% minimum. And he, right then and there, he said, yeah, when you get back to your room, please email me and send me some information.
I really like that approach. It's like a hybrid of the second one. How many HVACs do you have, or how many PTACs, and then going in with those average savings. In fact, I'm going to just quickly go back a couple slides, because I think that's when we show things like this, that's how you can use something like this to your advantage as a tool, because you're seeing here one restaurant location, just to reinforce what Will just said. He said conservatively a few $1,000s. Here's one restaurant location that has a $5,500 annual savings. So that is a great approach to just say, hey, how many of these units do you have? What if I could save you a few $1,000s a year? Putting that into actual tangible numbers. So thank you both. Great tips. So in addition to conversation starters, you want to just have a handful of talking points and features kind of at the tip of your tongue. So these are just a handful. There's others, but these are 4 that I think, it's a direct impact on lowering your consumption. That's one of the most powerful and lasting ways to lower your energy costs. Where I like to use that is if you're talking to somebody, maybe they're already an Autopilot Energy customer. You can say, listen, we're really happy we helped you lower your rate, but lowering your rate's only half the equation. The other piece of it is lowering your consumption. So really kind of helping people understand that there's 2 ways to lower your bill: lower your consumption, lower your rate, and you're really maximizing your savings, which is why our products work so well together. Talking about a less than a year ROI, you know, that's a feature and a talking point you just want at the tip of your tongue. You know, you can weave that in so many times. You know, there are so few ways that a business owner can make a tangible savings like this that's going to have a return on investment in less than a year. So that's a big one to always have. Talking about the lifetime warranty on the products like the HVAC unit and the Energy Squared is great. And then really just talking up our partner. You know, we're partnered direct with the manufacturer. They've worked with well-known brands, 10-year history, 90 million in savings. You know, so some great talking points and features you can have tip of your tongue. And then just to reinforce what Lisa said, I like to have the flyers, you know, use the tools. And you're going to see this same slide in each of these 3 steps. You have tools for each one of these steps. And I want to walk you through at the end of the webinar, so I gotta hurry here, that the tools you have for each and individual step. So we'll pull up these flyers, but we have brand new that will be released, and you'll see them right away. You have now a flyer for those 2 new products, which is great. And then you've got an energy efficiency video. You have the energy efficiency page on your personal website, which I'll pull up in a minute, and you've got a video share page. So all kinds of tools that you can use at this peak interest step. Okay, cool. So you've peaked interest. And now the next step is have a meeting. So your successful meeting tips, again, be sure you're talking to the decision maker. You're going to hear us say that over and over, but it's important. You don't want to reduce the follow-up, you know, make it worth your time, make it worth their time. Make sure you're talking to that decision maker. And then you have a presentation. You can use that presentation to guide your meeting. And we'll show you that here in a minute. It's that one has been in your virtual office, but we've made it even easier to find. And then we also have a whole bunch of available case studies, sample proposals. Some are proposals from clients that we're still working with that just you can show how much the savings can be and what our other pilots have yielded. So great tools to kind of help you through that meeting. And you got your presentation, you got your case studies and your personal website, but also you may need presentation support. So think of Viv Corporate and Will as an extension of your tools. So if you need, you know, Viv Corporate meeting support, myself, Rob, one of our support team or our sales team, if you need Madison Energy support, so think about what it is you need support with. Maybe you're talking to a customer that wants to know about our entire portfolio of services and it's a large commercial customer. You know, email support, let us know. I block time in my calendar to do those kinds of presentations. So does Rob. Maybe you're talking to a customer, and I've been on these calls with Will and he's phenomenal. You know, they have a facilities manager who knows the exact serial number and every tiny little detail about their HVAC unit and will it work and won't it work. And, you know, you put Will on there to talk about that technology and the confidence and the credibility comes through in an instant, and he's very, very effective. So think of that as an extension of your tools. You've got a presentation, you've got case studies, you've got your website. And if you have a large prospect that you need some support with presenting, we're here for you. And then you come to, okay, it's step 3. It's time to take the order. So in taking the order, regardless of how this customer got to this point, whether they went through a successful pilot and they've seen a proposal, or if they're just going to buy it directly, they have the same options. So they have a few timing options, which is really the biggest decision that customer is going to make. Do they want to pay in full up front? A lot of businesses like to do that regardless of size, just because they don't finance anything. It's just up to them. Or maybe they want to do their own financing separately and pay it up front here. Or they can have financing through Madison. And if it's under 10,000, they qualify for 6-month financing. Between 10 and 50 is 12-month financing, or lease payment really. And then over 50,000 is 24 months. So regardless of which choice they make, whether they want to pay up front or pay via a lease, they can make those payments via ACH, credit card, or check. So we've really made this incredibly flexible. Lots of options for people to make their payments for their energy efficiency. So when you are going to submit everything to process an order, what we need to successfully and completely process that order, and this all gets submitted to Viv. So the Madison lease agreement, the purchase order, the payment, you're not sending some to Will and Madison and some to us. Everything gets submitted to Viv. Just go to support@justviv.com. That's your go-to. If you ever don't know who to ask support@justviv.com and they will get it to the right person. So the 3 things we need is the purchase order, the lease agreement if they've chosen to do a lease, and the first payment. So those are the 3 documents we need, and we need them filled out completely. So when we say filled out completely, that means all the details. We really need to have all the company info, that it says the primary contact on there, the address, if there's multiple locations, what are the multiple locations of where it's being installed, you know, how many of each device or technology is being ordered, what payment method somebody has, a signature. So it needs to be filled out completely. And again, you can use the tools, and we have a brand new tool I'm going to show you tonight that I'm very excited about. We have an automated calculator and purchase order tool. You can still just fill out the blank purchase order form by hand if you prefer. And we've updated that to include the 2 new products, but we have created now an automated calculator and purchase order tool that pre-populates it and makes it super easy for you to print. And I think you'll really like it. So those are your steps. And if you're going to use this calculator, I'll show you a little screenshot of what this looks like. You download it in Excel. And it's kind of dummy proof because we're all dummies, but you can fill out the first tab, which is your purchase order input. So you fill out that tab with your business details and the quantities. And then if you have multiple locations, you fill out the locations tab, and then you print the appropriate tab, whether it's a 6-month lease, a 12-month lease, a 24-month lease, or a direct purchase. You print that and take it to your customer, and then they can fill out the payment info and submit it to us. So here's a sample of what it looks like. So this first tab down here is called purchase order input. And the second tab is location details. So you would use that if you had a customer with multiple locations. So they'd fill out each of the locations. So for example, we just did one for Guapos. So Guapos had three different locations. So we needed all those locations. And then you can fill out, you would print whichever one of these you need. And I kind of made that small so you could see how that prints. It'll print a pre-populated purchase order for you and the lease agreement for the appropriate term and length. And then your customer is just filling out their payment info to submit it to us. So they fill out their ACH or credit card or whatever their info is, signing it, and then signing the lease agreement, submit that whole thing to support@justviv.com. So we've really taken some of the guesswork out of filling out those orders for you. Let's see. So you may be wondering, where is all this? Where are these great new tools? Well, we've updated your learning center, and I'm going to go take you live through this page here in a minute. But we've updated your learning center as, oh, you know, I see something in the chat that I want to respond to really quickly. There's not actually a tax tab. Some of you have used the previous calculator before. There's no longer a tax tab, David, because it's all built into the formulas. So it will pull in the right tax amount based on the state that the customer is in automatically for you. So you're not finding that and calculating that. So that's why you don't see it there anymore. It's hidden behind the scenes in all the calculations. When you fill out this input and just put in your quantities, it will calculate your lease payments based on what you just choose. You choose which timing you want. It'll calculate your correct payments and everything for you along with tax. So it's, again, we tried to make it as simple as possible. All right, so this page here, we really want to start using and directing people to Learning Center. So we've updated the commercial tab in your Learning Center. This will replace any of the other like informational pages that have been floating out there. And this will be the one and only, and it's got everything in it that you need. And I'm going to scroll through that in a minute, and you'll see that it really does have everything. Before we get to that though, I want to just talk about the pilot program for those of you who haven't participated in this yet. So you've heard us talk about it a few times on the webinar. And so this is for your large customers. And what do we mean by large? Well, we mean a deal size that ultimately is 25,000 or more. So that could be a variety of combinations. And you can do the math on that and think, well, a HVAC unit is $9.99 and Energy Squared is $5.99. So if you had a restaurant location that had 2 HVACs and a cooler and a freezer at each location, that's going to be like a $37,000 deal. So that would qualify as an example. Or if you had a university with multiple buildings and HVACs, obviously that would qualify. So the way that this works is exactly how Will described it earlier. The Madison team will come in and install a usage meter on the units that are being participating in the pilot. They'll track baseline usage. They'll come in and then install the actual technologies. And then they'll track the new usage so they can see, well, here's how much you used without it and here's what you use with it. And then a super detailed proposal, like he said, that goes through a third-party engineering firm, very, very detailed. And then the customer can decide whether they want to move forward or not. And if they don't, there's no obligation and there's no cost. And the proposal is extremely detailed. I believe most of you have probably seen one by now. We have available to you samples of these proposals so that you can give them to customers. And there's lots of different business types available in the samples: schools, universities, townships, restaurants. So Will has made several of these proposals available so that your clients can see the granular detail that they would receive. So if you have a customer who you think would be interested in this trial, this pilot program, here's your qualification criteria. It's just the deal size, which we talked about before. And here's the retail values on each of these, so you can kind of do the math in your head. $9.99 for the IntelliHVAC, $5.99 for Energy Squared, $1,095 for the ASH-DC, and $3.99 for the P-Tax. So if their approximate deal value is going to be over 25,000 or more, and if you have direct contact with the decision maker, which is even more important with a pilot, then they would qualify for a pilot. And so then you would gather all that information, you'd get as much of it as you can, and you would submit that lead within your learning center. So then after that, your prospect will go right into a process where Lisa's going to reach out to you and to the prospect. She's going to arrange and make sure that there's a call with Will to just schedule that. There's a little agreement form that the customer will agree to for the pilot. And really we can take it from there, and you can be as involved as you want to be. I will tell you that the consultants who stay involved through that process just to help coordinate and keep their customer engaged in the process typically end up being the ones that move forward the most. So that's what we find is the more engaged you are, the more likely that's going to move forward. All right, so let's go through commissions, and then I'm going to go out of this screen and walk you through all your tools so you can see your new Learning Center page. So what can you earn? Let's just walk through commissions here. So we've got each of the four products here, and you've seen the IntelliHVAC and the Energy Squared before. You haven't seen the IntelliPTAC and the ASH-DC. So you can see that in locations where there's multiple of these units, that this can really add up for you and be quite lucrative, both in terms of dollars and in terms of points. So the personal sales commission goes to the direct person who's referred the business. And then the commissionable volume goes up team from that. Your level 1 is replaced by personal sales commission. So commissionable volume starts at level 2 and goes up on that. So that goes up to your up team. And then the personal customer points last for 12 months. Personal customer points kick in at qualified status. So qualified is once the purchase order is signed, that's when your points kick in. And personal sales commission and CV start to be paid out once the deal is installed. That's what's considered active. So this is says the same thing, a little redundant for you, but it's pending. Once it's just a lead submission, as you're gathering information, it's in the pilot program process. We've submitted a proposal. That whole process of sales, it's considered pending. And then once that complete purchase order with everything that we need is on there and it's signed, then that would be considered qualified. And that's when you'll see your PCP kick in. And then once the first payment is received, so that could be payment in full if they're doing a direct purchase, or it could be the first monthly payment if they're doing a lease. Once that is received and the installation is complete, which happens pretty quickly, then that's considered active, and the PSC and the commissionable volume start to be paid out. The reason we wait for that installation to be complete is that oftentimes in a larger installation in particular, some details might change. You know, at a corporate office, somebody might not be totally spot on when they're counting the amount of equipment that they have per location. And so just on location, that can change. That could go up by a unit or two or down by a unit or two as that installation is completed. So we wait for that installation to be complete so that we can reconcile any differences in the payment and commission appropriately. And then the timing is based totally on the lease or payment timing option that your customer chooses. And so before, when we've trained on this, we really only had a 12-month lease option. We didn't have these other options, which have been added and expanded to this. So if there's no lease and it's paid up front, then the personal sales commission and the commissionable volume are both paid in month one. We receive payment, we confirm it's been installed without issue, and we issue commissions. So that will be in the very first weekly run after that installation is complete. In all of the lease arrangements, the pattern here is the same. We pay the personal sales commission first, as quickly as we can based on the receipt of revenue, and then we pay the commissionable volume second, as quickly as we can based on the receipt of revenue. So you can see in the 6-month lease agreement, the first 2 installments hit PSC, 50% month 1, 50% month 2, and then month 3 is skipped, and then 4 and 5 goes to CV. Same pattern in all of these. So 12-month leases, 25% each for the first 4 months, month 5 is skipped, and then 25% each for those. So in all cases, what we've done is make sure that the PSC is fully paid and the CV is fully paid well before the lease is actually fully paid. So we've tried to escalate and pay the field as fast as we can. So in the case of a 12-month lease, you can see commissions are actually fully paid by month 9. And in the 24-month lease, commissions are fully paid by month 13. So all in all, just one more thing that makes this program pretty awesome. People can have financing that doesn't go through formal bank approval, very low cost financing, and have an immediate ROI if they finance it, because oftentimes their monthly payments will be less than the savings that they're getting right out of the gates. So really, really wonderful program and great addition, and we're grateful to Madison for adding those additional lease terms. So I think that's it on commissions. Oh, there are a couple of examples here just to kind of give you an example of how that plays out. So these two have just the Energy Squared and Intella HVAC. So let's say you've got 2 Energy Squared, that would be a cooler and a freezer, and 1 HVAC. And you can see how that works at this single location. So you've got 3, oh, sorry, this is a 10 site deal. It's like, that's a lot of commission for one location. So that's 3,000 personal sales commission, 2,000 in CV, and 200 PCP at a 10 site deal. And then of course you can see how that expands out if you have a larger customer, a 100 site deal, a large franchise. So the potential of this product our product line is really unending. I mean, I drive by businesses all the time and see HVAC units and think, look at all that wasted energy, look at all that wasted money. So much potential here for you and for your customers to save money and to earn money. So I'm going to pause this for a minute, and I'm going to pop over to just give me a second. I'm going to go over to the website. As I'm kind of switching gears here and going over to the website and changing my share, I'm going to hand the floor back over to Lisa and Will, just if there's anything you guys want to comment on from anything you've heard so far.
Well, first I want to say, woohoo, everybody, you've been asking a lot of these questions, like, where do I find this stuff? Where are the tools? I mean, they've streamlined everything into that one learning center under the commercial tab. How cool is that? So everything is there now that we need. We've got the videos, we've got the flyers, we've got testimonials, we've got case studies. Everything you need is right there. So hopefully if your teams, you sign on somebody new, you could direct them right there. And as Cammie said, I'm on the front end of when you submit a lead and you need some help. I try to mitigate a lot of questions that one might ask of Will, because he's going to be more on the other end, handling, getting the proposals, and this is for the pilot program, of course, the proposals and then closing the deal. But sorry about that. I got to put my phone on silent. So yeah, we're excited about this. Guys, there's a lot of activity happening. And so Will's one person. I know we've got a great team working with him, but we're all working this together. Corporate, Cammie has done, and her team is amazing for us. You asked and they delivered. So we couldn't ask for more. One thing I want to spike out that Cammie said, and I think this is critically important, is that 3-way call. If and when you get to that point where Will is talking to your client, the decision maker, it's really important for you to be on that call. That way you'll be a part of the holistic process, because sometimes things are said that Will doesn't know what you said to them, and it's just really rounds out the conversation.
Awesome.
Will?
Thank you so much, Lisa. We're so appreciative for everything you do to support everybody with this, and just your passion. You've had passion for this product since, I won't even say day one, since day, negative 90 or more than that, really. We worked on this for a while. So awesome. I'm going to pull up the actual website here so everybody can see it, and you can see the pages that we've been referencing. So here is, first of all, your new, which you may have already seen, but this is your new page that is on your own personal website. So this has already been updated. This has the video on it so that you can show that easily to people. It has the new products. So the ASH-DC and the IntelliPTAC are on here. So this page here, which you can just send somebody directly to your personal website, or you can copy paste your link, or however you want to send somebody to this. This is really comprehensive for your customers and shows exactly what they can be participate in. Now, the other page that we've been talking about is the Learning Center page. So I want to navigate to that so that you can see exactly how I'm getting there. Just open up a new tab here, and I'll log into the virtual office. You guys are still seeing my screen, right? Okay, there we go. For some reason, my chat window went away. So if there's anything relevant in there that I need to know, just shout it out to me. So in your virtual office, under Learning Center is where we really want you to go for any of these kinds of things. We're going to be doing lots of updating to this Learning Center for other categories as well, so that you can always find what you need. So this commercial tab under Learning Center Commercial, this is what has been updated now. And we're continuing to make updates to this. Some of the downloads and things are continuing to kind of populate, so you'll see everything in here by tomorrow morning will be the right links. For example, this is an old webinar video because this one's being recorded right now, so it will go here and replace this one. But there's a few old links on here, so wait till tomorrow maybe to download some stuff. But you'll see this goes through the same flow we just went in our presentation. Super user-friendly, intro to what the product and program is, intro to Madison and some background, intro to each and every service. In one of these, you can look at the flyer. So now we also have new flyers for IntelliPTAC, for the ASH-DC. There's still the existing flyers that we had already for Energy Squared, IntelliHVAC. These are all customizable so that you can customize them yourself with your contact information. We've added this cool product script. So if you click on a product script for this, oh, why did that not pull up? Of course it didn't, because I'm demoing it. Oh, there we go. So you pull up a little product script, and it gives you some of the technical. So if you want to pull this up with a client or just before you go into a meeting, it gives you just a little bit more information so that you can understand exactly how that product works. So you can have that, you're armed with that same info. You don't have to be reaching out and asking for that. So you've got a flyer and a script or details for each one. So then this page walks you through the same steps we just went through on that webinar. So peak interest, you've got some of the same conversation starters. Based on Will's contribution to this, I think we'll go ahead and add those average conservative savings for each one of these units. So you guys can do the math and have that as a conversation starter. You've got your basic talking points here. And then for the peak interest step, here's a link to every tool that you could use during that step. So this is pretty cool, guys, because you can link to these flyers here. But since you've accessed this from your virtual office, you can also click directly to the share page that will still have your name on it. Or you can link directly to your replicated page and it will be your page. So we've made that very easy so you can see, gosh, what page was it that I could share? Well, you just come to your Learning Center, click on commercial, look at the peak interest step, and just give yourself a refresher. How should you have the conversation? What are some of your talking points? And what are the tools that you want to use in that step? So then you're at your next step, which is meet with your customer. So again, just like we went through with the slides, Here are tips for your meeting. Here are tools you can use. You can click here and get to the case studies, the sample proposals. You can get to the presentation that we have in PDF or PowerPoint format. And then if you need help with your meeting, no worries. You know, you can be here to get Viv corporate support or Madison support, and email support at justviv.com in either case. So then it goes through the third step, which is taking the order. And just like we had on the slides, it gives you a refresher of the payment options, what the qualification is for a lease. And then it gives you the details on how to fill out the paperwork for, here's that link to the Excel purchase order tool. And here's a link to the order forms. And then there's a little bit here about the pilot program. So a link to the lead submission, so you can submit your lead for the pilot program. A little bit of information about what it is and whether your customer qualifies, and then your tools. So the pilot program flyer, the pilot program customer agreement, and you can submit your lead. And then all those tools that you've seen in each one of these steps along the way is now consolidated at the bottom, so you can see all your resources. So if you just want to scroll to the bottom and have everything in one place, here's your peak interest tools, here's your meeting and follow-up tools, here's your purchase and order entry tools, and here's your pilot program tools. So pretty comprehensive page. We're going to be adding some really cool short videos down the side. So we're going to take, Will has some customer training videos, and we're going to do just a little short 2-minute video on comp. So watch this right-hand column just continue to grow, and it will have some video training for you to come in and see. So starting with this webinar, it will be recorded on the side, which if you're watching the replay will be weird because you'll be watching the webinar I'm telling you about. But then we'll add some other kind of shorter videos about certain topics, how to pique interest, maybe some role playing and things like that. So that is your primary source. If anybody says, gosh, I want to get involved in energy efficiency, I just don't know how, say, go to your learning center, click on commercial. Everything you need is there. And if you can't get your question answered here, then let us know. Then email support and we'll make sure we get it on the page. So just one kind of housekeeping note, give us until tomorrow just to double check all those links and everything that just went live tonight, and it's kind of populating some of the links. And so we want to make sure that all of those links are correct and accurate for you. So give us till tomorrow until you start downloading, and that will be a fantastic tool for you. And I am out of content. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Will, to see if you've got some last words. But I will just say, guys, I am so pleased with this product line and how it's growing. It just contributes to our overall mission, which is to make life better for our customers, our consultants, and our communities. And we're doing that in a big way with commercial, not only with our autopilot service, but obviously now also with energy efficiency. So go for it, go at it. Please let us know how we can help you and support you. I hope these new tools are great, but you know, we're happy to support with anything else that we need. And Will, I'm going to turn it back over to you for any last thoughts.
Yeah, no, just I'll reiterate what a great opportunity this is. Madison Energy has been around for 10 years now. I have a lot of different partnerships, and Viv is my favorite. I've never seen another company invest so much in its people and in its infrastructure to create opportunity for everyone. So if any of this appeals to you at all, jump right in the water. We're all here to support you, and we're all here to make sure you're successful.
Awesome. Well, thank you. The feeling's mutual. It's a really great partnership. I think we both love working with each other. So guys, we hit just under an hour, and I hope it was a good use of everybody's time. And I'm not seeing any additional questions. I'm just seeing thank yous. So you're all welcome. Have a beautiful evening, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Will. Thanks, everybody.